And that's the story of Big Bad John. You know what? And if that guy was put in the same situation, he'd have done the same thing. This choir, as we know, dates back to 1966. Quite a history when you think of all those years through the history of coal mining. All these guys were working in the pit at that time, you know? That's how that was going. These guys were all full on, going down, working shifts every day. And then the years passed, you know, some guys retire and move on to other things, and you pick up new members. I was fortunate to join this choir back in 2006, but my years with the choir date back much earlier than that. I was born in 1972, and my dad joined this choir in 1969. So I grew up with these fellas. I came to these concerts here at the museum all the time, and I've never been in a coal mine. I've never seen the inside of a coal mine. But hanging around with these guys, you know, I've really started to learn a lot about the coal mining industry. So I thought tonight, especially with visitors from Pennsylvania, I'd share some of my coal mining knowledge. You know, the shovel picks up the stone, and then the pick kind of knocks it off. Okay, I know. There's some that would like me to continue right now back there, but I think I'll get out while I can. We're fortunate in this group that we have a seasoned veteran who knows all facets of the coal mine. He's worked underground, in the ground, on top of the ground. He's worked everywhere around it. He was a mine manager for many, many years, a great mine manager. And maybe with a little bit of encouragement, we could get Tiny Jim up here to tell a few coal mining stories. Come on, Tiny Jim.
I got a brand new stool. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Bob. You know, I'm glad Stephen didn't tell you of his coal mining experience in full. He would have wasted 15 seconds of your time. You know, as we travel around the country, around the world even, we love to tell stories about our people. We talk about our mothers and our grandmothers and grandfathers and our sisters and brothers and, of course, our priests and ministers and our neighbors. They're all important parts of our community. You know, but we seldom talk about our fathers. Our fathers work 12, 14, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week to help support very large families. And that was quite common in the mining community. You know, the average family was around 7 or 8, and some went up as high as the high teens. You know, so the fathers had to work very hard to put food on the table. So therefore, if the father was working all the time, the mother was the boss. She had to do it all. She was the cook, the bottle washer, the confessor. If there was anything as money, she was the manager, and she had to handle all the complaints, and she had to make all the decisions, and she had to make them right away. She was alone. She had nobody to talk to. She had to make her own decisions. And throughout it all, they kept their wit, because if they hadn't kept their wit, they probably would have cracked. The story comes to mind. A miner and his wife decided to go out on the back step and have a glass of wine after supper. He was loading coal all day, and they had 8 kids, so she was chasing them around, and they were pretty well frustrated, you know. So they get out there, and they're out there about 15 minutes. And she said to him, "Oh, I love you so much. I don't know what would happen if I ever lost you." And he said to her, "Is that you talking or the wine?" And she said, "Oh no, it's me talking, but I'm talking to the wine." A woman in Waterford, you know, she won $1 million from the lottery. She was at the grocery store when she found out. So she got all excited and she rushed out in her car, slammed the door, spun the wheels and headed home, you know, and she got into the front door and she slammed the door and she hollered to her husband, Sweetie, pack your bags, I won $1 million. Oh, he said, "That's great, sweetheart. Should I pack for the beach or the mountain?" "Oh, I don't give a damn. Just get the hell out." Now, the Cape Breton couple, you know, the spark was kind of going out of their marriage, and they decided, maybe take a trip to New York and see if they get the Kindle and flame. So they're up there about 3 days and nothing, not even a spark. So this morning she says to him, look, I have to cash some traveler's checks. Why don't you come down to the bank with me? She said, okay. Or he said, okay, and they're not doing it now, so down they go. When they go in the bank, there's a guy in front of the teller and she stands behind him and her husband stands behind her, you know. They're in there about 5 minutes. A guy comes crashing through the front door, waving a gun, hollering, this is a hold-up. And they're screaming and hollering, sirens going, and somebody hollered, here comes the police. You know, and the robber goes over to the guy in front of her, did you see me rob this bank? And the guy said, yes. Bang, shot him. He turned to her and he said, did you see me rob the bank? Oh, no, sir, I didn't see you rob the bank, but my husband did. The husband's walking through the kitchen, you know, and he looks at the calendar and he sees the date and he goes, ooh, boy, so what's wrong with you? She said, you remember when your father caught us knocking in the living room? And he said, you either marry my daughter or you get 20 years in jail. She said, yeah, so what? He said, I'd be getting out today. Husband and wife, you know, they're sitting on the Chesterfield. And she says to him, look, if I was to pass on, would you get married again? He said, oh no, I'm not getting married again. Well, what's wrong with marriage? Well, he said, maybe I would get married, you know. She said, would she live in this house? Oh yeah, it's paid for. Would she sleep in my bed? Oh yeah, she'd sleep in your bed. Would she use my golf clubs? No, she's left-handed. Elderly couple, you know, they go to a retirement party. And she wants to dance, and he doesn't want to dance at all, you know. And there's a guy out on the floor, and he's doing the moonwalk and the jitterbug, and he's going on. And she says to her husband, look, see that guy out there? 40 years ago, he proposed to me, and I turned him down. The husband said, yeah, he proposed to you. Yes, he proposed to me. 40 years ago, yeah. Looks like he's still celebrating. You know, it's Graveyard Sunday up at Greenwood Cemetery. It's passing on the way back to Sydney. And Reverend Ralph Johnson is going up and he's shaking hands with everybody and greeting them and talking to them and doing his job, you know. And he comes upon this lady and she's kneeling on the grave and she's pounding on the grave and she's saying, why did you die? Why did you die and leave me to all this misery? Why did you die? And he goes over to her and he says, is this your dear departed sister? No, no, Reverend. This is my husband's first wife. Talking about the graveyard, you know, there's Highland Street runs up in West Bay and Dominion run up, you know, and they run this way, and in between them there's the Protestant cemetery, and then there's the Jewish, and then there's the Catholic. And if you walk all the way around, it's about a half hour. But if you cut through, it's 10 minutes or less, you know. So this dark night, no stars, no moon, no nothing, you know, pitch black, no lights at all. And the guy cuts through the cemetery. He had to get home for work. And he strays off the path and he falls into an open grave. You know. He starts clawing at it. He was only about 6 feet tall. And he couldn't get out, you know. So he resigned to the fact that he got to just wait till the morning. So he gets over and he squats in the corner, you know. And he's there maybe 5 minutes and he hears this guy coming whistling, coming down through. And the guy strays off the path and falls into the grave, you know. And he starts clawing, trying to get out. And he didn't see the first fellow over in the corner. And the first fellow said, you'll never get out. He did. I have to tell you this one. I'm going to try anyway. We had neighbors, you know. She was just a lovely, lovely person, you know. He was there, you know, when he got a few drinks, and he was not the easiest guy in the world to get along with. But anyway, they had 6 children. As they were getting older, then finally there was a space and she had a 7th child. So the old fellow sitting there having his rum, you know, this night, he's looking at the 7th child and he's looking at the other 6. He says to his wife, you know, that 7th child doesn't look like the other 6. She said, oh, they're all the same, you know, you're getting senile. No, he said. And he was convinced the 7th guy didn't look like the other 6. So God love her, she's on her deathbed and resigned to the fact that she's going to pass on. And he said, I'm sorry, and maybe I treated you not the way I should have, but please forgive me. But he said, before you go, would you mind telling me, who owns that 7 child? And she looked at it and she thought, what a chance to get even with him after all these years. So she smiled at him and said, you do. I must say, not bad. And 90% of you will get that in the way home. If you live in Vancouver. You know, I explained that in Toronto, and I explained it for 15 minutes, and I still didn't get it. I explained it in Newfoundland, and they nodded their heads. Stephen mentioned that I was a mine manager, and you know, I'm meeting with the mine committee this afternoon. We're going out of Hammertown. They're giving it to me, and I'm trying to give it back to them, you know. So I said, now look, not many, but a few are misusing the compensation laws. And they said, oh, no, it's not us, it's management. Why are you blaming on us when the management are doing this all the time? You know? And anyway, we agreed to call the meeting out, and we resumed the next morning. The next morning on the way to work, I pick up a newspaper. And there on the sport page, the guy who was off on compensation had come third in the golf tournament. So when the meeting started, I hit him. I said, Egerton, the electrician in this gallery, off on compensation, came third in the golf tournament. Now, what do you fellas have to say about that? It was quiet. I said, I got them. But there was one member of that mine committee, a grizzled old veteran by the name of Turk York. And no way was Turk letting me have the final word. He said, Mr. McLeod. And they're mad at me. They call me Mr. I said, Turk, the name is you. Mr. McLeod. It goes without saying, if that boy hadn't been so badly hurt, he would have won that tournament. Talk about getting the bum rush. Oh, we had enough out here now. The cows are coming home. Well, this Cape Breton couple, you know, she was kind of concerned that her husband was maybe not as faithful as he should be, you see. So this Saturday night, he staggers in the door around 11 o'clock, and she's waiting for him with a frying pan. And she comes back. And he said, oh, love of my life, what's wrong? She said, I found a woman's name in your shirt pocket. Oh, no, sweetheart. That was a horse I bet on last week. Oh, okay. So she threw the frying pan in the sink. Next Saturday night, he staggers in again around 11 o'clock. And she's waiting. As he walked in the door, she plucked him right between the two eyes. And down he goes, this love of my life, what's wrong? He said, your horse called. Thank you very much.